Hello everyone, this is Cesar Roulier with Digital Drafting Systems, and I'd like to give you a quick overview of what Autodesk A360 and Autodesk A360 collaboration for Revit are. So to do that, what I'd like to do is first off define the difference between what is A360, what is A360 team, and then jump into what collaboration for Revit is and show you on my screen live some of these applications. So talk about what A360 is. A360 is sort of an Autodesk branding that talks about cloud services. So you have an A360 drive, which many of us have. It's a free basically cloud drive, very much like a Dropbox or a SkyDrive. And then you have A360 Team, which is a paid service, a paid subscription service that essentially allows functionality in terms of sharing data and viewing it based on the cloud services or on the cloud. And the neat thing about A360 Team as an application or as a platform is that it works with computers and laptop devices, and the web interface is able to read over 50 different file formats. So that is very interesting. Now, when you look at a A360 Team web page or a hub or a project hub, I should say, there are several different things that you can do with it. One of them is, number one, setting up projects. So the nice thing, what this is intended for, is to create a folder structure on the cloud for the management of project data. This can be anything from PDFs, submittals, drawings, and even consultant and sub-consultant data, markups, and so on. So the idea is to facilitate the collaboration or the dissemination of information and models and keep everything in a centralized place. And essentially, the reason why it's important to understand what A360 Team does is because it is the backbone or the back engine for the application or the use of A360 collaboration for Revit. So before we walk into the collaboration for Revit data set, let me go back and pull up A360 Team live so you guys can see what it really is. So let me just toggle here to my Internet Explorer, and I am now inside my company's hub for A360. And as you can see, I have several toolbars or a toolbar here for information about projects, data, people, and I have a list here of different projects that I have created that I'm currently working on right now. So for instance, let's say that I wanted to take a look at this C4R design project, which is what we'll be using later on the collaboration for Revit side. When I click on this project webpage, you see that I come into a feed of information, very much like a social media or a Facebook, if you will, where you can see people posting, comments, new information added, and so forth. There is the idea of being able to manage data and manage people also. And the nice thing about this is that A360 Team allows you to essentially control who has access to your data. So I can invite project contributors or team members to my hub. Okay, and as you can see, I have some people already here, people within my organization or my company that can contribute to the data of this project. Now, I'm going to pull up a quick little slide that talks about inviting people, because when we started to talk about the cloud, there's some concerns with who can access data and how do you keep data secure from other people. So one of the things that have been added as a feature of the A360 Team platform is the idea of roles. And what you have is you have what's called a team member or a team role, And these are people that have access to your projects that are in your organization. So same company, maybe different places in the world, because now this is based on the web, so it allows for that. But these are people that are very high level in terms of, I guess, working with you. Now, these people can edit data, upload, download. They can also invite other people within the organization to join the project. Uh, and they really don't have any limitations on what they can and cannot do. Uh, there's also something called a project contributor, okay, which is a free role. So that's the other idea. Uh, team roles are paid. Each one has to have or be under an umbrella of A360 team entitlements, whereas the project contributors are free, and that means that I can invite as many contributors, maybe lighting consultants or let's say flooring or tile consultants, into my project to download data and upload specs, but they are unable to invite other people or share the data with anyone else. So in addition to that, there's also a hierarchy of projects. So depending on the type of project that it is, and I'll go to the next slide here, you have what's called an open project that anybody can go into and anybody can invite people to. You have something that's called a closed project, and then you have something called a secret. So secret and closed, when you start to look at these project contributors, they are unable to invite other people, and they can only see data of the project that they have been invited on. So there's these two layers of management of who can see what information. And what we'll do is we'll probably put up this slide up on our website so you can review it with a little bit more time and really understand how the roles affect the data. But essentially, if you are a company looking to invest in A360 cloud services, you would purchase an A360 team account with, let's say, 5, 6, 7 entitlements that are paid for your team members. And then those people can then invite as many contributors as they need to gather the data or basically aggregate information onto the hub. Let me go back to the website here. So you can invite project team members or contributors. So there's two different fields here to do that. And the other thing that you can do is on this feed, I can go ahead and click on different data. Let's say this element, this item that happened earlier this month. And you're able to see this is a screenshot of a floor plan. This was actually done with a phone. And then it's marked up, and you can add additional comments if you wish. So you can say this issue has been resolved. Now, because this works very much like a social media, let's say that I were working with Raquel. So I can go ahead and say @Raquel. And by adding this comment, Raquel will get an email notification via her Outlook saying, hey, Cesar went and posted a comment based on this information. And it kind of starts to get the dialogue going. I can also choose to download, or I can even share this information with other people. So I can share this item, and this is kind of what's neat about A360. I can copy this link and send it out. I can email it, or I can even embed it if this were a 3D model onto a client interfacing site. Now, the nice thing about this is that I have toggles for downloading, and depending on the type of content, if it's a model, for example, or a set of drawings, I can even access or add a password to access this. So A360 is very robust in those regards. Let's go ahead and take a look at data. So data is essentially the hierarchy or the root structure of my project. I am free to create folders as I wish. So I'm going to call this renderings, for example. Okay. So now I have a folder in which I can go ahead and add information. So for instance, let's say that I have a rendering on A360, okay, one of my cloud services. So what I'll do is I'll take this floor plan and I'll save it to as an image. So let's go here and say download image, show in folder. Just going to do a quick cut, put it on my desktop for now, and I'll go back to 360 here, renderings for client review, and I will upload it. Okay, so I can hit upload, I can toggle that and just drag and drop the file here. So now I'm just uploading it via browser. I can go ahead and add comments. I can even change the destination, so I don't need to go into that folder. Okay, edit information. So this is going to be overall 3D floor plan for client presentation. Okay, and I'll say this was cloud rendered, showing new floor options. So okay, I'll go ahead and upload this, and it's essentially the same as putting it on a Dropbox to be shared. So now I can click on this image, and what I'm doing now is I'm pulling up the viewer. Now this is going to take a few minutes because I've just uploaded that information. As you can see, it's very quickly on images and PDFs. It does take a few minutes on a Revit model, but now you can see that this is one of the renderings on that viewer that allows you to look at over 50 or it's 50 plus file formats. So so this is nice. So I can go ahead and click on the image. I'm gonna hit escape to go back out, and again, I can, in this particular case, download. I can invite people to this, so I can share this with somebody within my organization. I can tag this, and I can even get information on this, right? So this is some very nice a way to keep track of your assets. So I don't know what these things are, so what I'll do is I'm going to add a comment, and I'm going to say we need to make sure to ask about tile. Okay, so I'm going to add this comment, and I want to show you there's a big difference between this and another way that I'm going to add comments to the drawing. There's also a history button here, so let me close this. Let me go back out to another different file. I can open up CAD data too. So here's a floor plan. And you notice that because now I'm working with CAD data, I have a different toolbar, right? So this was actually an export of CAD from the Revit model. But what I can do is I can go ahead and identify these Pixie machines and add a comment right to them and say, please contact hospital for specs and dimensions, right? So, and I'm gonna tag somebody here for this. So there's my comment. Now the nice thing about this is there's actually revisions. So there's a bit of versioning that happens on A360, and we'll take a look at that based on the Revit model. So far what I've been showing you is functionality available to any customer or any user of an A360 team account. You can upload, download, markup, share information. You can even upload Revit models. So in this case, we have a Revit model here on our project. Again, as a project team member, you can download this this model, okay, and interact with it. You can share it. But there's some limitations to that as a contributor, right? So now going back to this, what we're looking at is now the Revit model that I will show you later on the Revit side of things. And this is actually a published snapshot of the model at a given time. So if we go back and look at the history of this, this was published about a day ago, and there's quite a few revisions or versions of this with changes that I can revert to or even download for review locally. Now, one of the things that A360 allows me to do with this model is not only to show you the three-dimensional model and perhaps view it in different ways, maybe by sectioning it or even clicking on objects to understand what they are, right? So I can go ahead and identify an element here. I want to know what these little tubes sticking out are. I can click on this, look at the properties, and it's a pneumatic tube station, and it gives me dimensional data and whatever information I happen to put in. This is blank because it has been filled in, but again, this is reading information that was put into the BIM. So aside from the 3D model capabilities, which has cameras, the ability to render this in different ways, also different lighting. Okay, so this is also, think of this as a presentation tool. If you go into a client presentation, you can go and load up your model onto the cloud and not only have a model with different rendering schemes and be able to maybe explode it apart, take it apart, or even take a look at cameras and walk through, but you now have the ability to also carry drawings with you for your model, right? So I'm going to go into the modeling or the sheets category here, and here's my 3D view that I'm looking at. But I can also have, in this case, a door schedule and window schedule sort of sheet here. So, and again, because this was published, and published is the key word, this is where collaboration for Revit will come in. I can query any of these objects and look at properties, and it'll tell me it is a door, right? So again, it all depends on the way that the BIM is developed. Obviously, these are two-dimensional CAD vignettes or detail line work that was brought in, so these don't have any intelligence to them, but in this case, my doors did. And if we look at this list, I should be able to see as many sheets and views that I choose to publish from the Revit model on the collaboration for Revit side. So in this case, I only have my three-dimensional view and a reflective ceiling plan in addition to the sheet that I just showed you. So we'll go ahead and look at that. And again, we'll look at lighting fixtures and ceilings. Okay, so this is very nice information that is shown from the model. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and show you the collaboration for Revit side. So let's just go ahead and make a quick little differentiation here of what A360 team is and who is it for. So A360 team is basically a web-based or cloud-based collaboration site that allows you to host project data and share it with people in or outside your organization. Now, A360 team is for everyone. It could be for, again, finish consultants, lighting consultants, even people in your organization that are concerned with the logistics, so project managers, for example, that are not drafting or necessarily drawing in Revit. And this is where A360 team, it's a little bit different from A360 collaboration for Revit. So A360 collaboration for Revit works on top of A360 team, but it's meant for the people that are authoring and working on Revit models. So A360 collaboration for Revit works on what I just showed you, the A360 website, team website, and it allows for the authoring of models from all over the place. So it allows for offices that are in different parts of the world or the country to author the same model. And this bypasses the idea of having a Revit server or infrastructure to basically facilitate these things, which is now important as we start to get more into using BIM as part of the design process and coordination process. So A360 connects the entire team process, makes sharing information much better, and since it's cloud-based, the information there is available to everyone. So going back to what I said is the best way to describe for A360 collaboration for Revit or for C4R is that it is essentially work sharing on the cloud. So if you take a look at this slide, we had work sharing, which is your typical inter or inside the office way of collaborating with teammates. Then you have a Revit server or Vault, which requires additional servers and machines to replicate and accelerate information. But this was a nice thing to have that allows you to have two teams or several teams in different offices and author the same Revit model simultaneously. Now, the problem with this is, and what Collaboration for Revit plus A360 solves, is the idea of having to maintain and essentially have those servers and replicators available. So there's really no IT maintenance or cost. And all this is managed via the cloud and basically or essentially your internet connection in terms of work sharing on the cloud. So what are the benefits of collaboration for Revit? Well, as I mentioned, it's cloud-based work sharing, and it allows multiple firms to author the same model as if they were essentially there with you. So it really bridges, you know, that gap of the difficulties of sharing a BIM model, right? So we all know that Dropbox and SkyDrive and all those things can get us out of a bind, but perhaps are not the most efficient way, and that's one of the things that A360 attempts to address. There's also enhanced communication and model update. So I'll talk about this in a minute when I show you the application. And I said there's no IT setup. So that's a big plus. Okay, so I missed a slide here. This is actually some screenshots from the application. So let me jump into the Revit side of things. So here's my Revit screen, and what I have here is the project that we were looking at a minute ago. And before I make a change and show you how this works, I want to highlight something that happened. So A360 or Collaboration for Revit is installed as a native plugin to a Revit license or Revit installation. And as I said, it's meant for people that are working on the Revit models, people that are authoring the Revit models. So if you're concerned with just viewing data and revising drawings and so forth, you don't necessarily need Collaboration for Revit. So the way that Collaboration for Revit is or it works, it needs to have an A360 account. So I've already signed into mine, and it has what's called a communicator tab. So now you have the ability to, number one, take a look at the projects that you're working in. So in this case, I am in the one project that corresponds to the hub. As a matter of fact, if I click on this, it'll bring me up to the web page. Now, I did mention that this was a great communication tool, and in a previous slide I said that it does track changes, and it does. I actually have a project feed or a timeline where you can see all the times that I've synced to Central or synced to the cloud. And in addition, I'm sorry, I should say to just syncing, I'm able to add comments to be a little more descriptive to my team to what I've done at that past. Even consultants that are working with me are able to sync at the same time. And the neat thing about this timeline is that I can see via some visual feedback who is syncing and saving while I'm working on that project. Okay, so I have a tab for active models and I have a tab for active projects. So I can also monitor projects that I may not be in right at this moment, but are part of my day-to-day tasks. So I can see when those are being worked on. There's also a chat window. This is actually very interesting because I can go ahead and chat with my consultants, in this case, this gentleman here, and I can go ahead and send a message to them. Now, while they are not, or in this case, he is not online, but when they're online, they'll get a notification. Or I should say, as soon as they're online, they'll get a notification of the message. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send not only text, I can say hello DDS, but I can also attach files, as you can see, and even screenshots. So I can go ahead and do a JPEG or a screen capture here. Right. Okay. And I'm going to say that we need specs for the fire cabinet. Okay. So this is a nice way to collaborate. Now it's not just text, it's an image. In addition, if he had specs, he could upload a file. Okay, so he can send an image or attach any other file that he sees necessary. So I'm going to leave that alone. And the nice thing about this is that you can, at any given time, let's say at the end of a submittal, you can save down this whole feed of information and archive it with the project, right? So now you have a record of the communication that led up to the development of the project. Again, so what I want to do here is I'm going to show you where things get installed under Collaborate. Now you have the communicator, which is this toolbar, and you have the ability now to manage models. So let me go ahead and make a quick change here to these to this model. I'm going to add some lighting fixtures to this soffit. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to leave my floor plan alone, but I will go and look for a ceiling plan. So just double click ceiling plan, and I'll go ahead and locate myself where I need to be. Okay, so it's here, and let me go ahead and add some content. So we'll go to component, and we'll get two of these lights. Okay, we'll place one there, maybe one in the center too. Okay, and let me go ahead and do this. Let me just do it this way so I don't have any issues. A lot of times if you're not selecting the correct plane, things get a little crazy. And that looks right about right. I can always drop in a dimension if I really wanted to, but that looks pretty good. Okay. And what I'll do now is I need to make sure that I publish the sheet with these changes. So when I publish this model, you'll see in a minute ago, or you will see in a minute, that that I will publish, sorry there, I was trying to do this and think at the same time, that I'm going to publish specific sheets onto the data set for A360. Now what I want you to pay attention to is here, timeline. Okay, this is what my other counterpart sees. So I mentioned this was very much like work sets. So I'm saving locally, and I'm saving now syncing to the cloud, right? So, and I'm going to add a comment, added fixtures to nurse station. Okay, so this will take a minute to upload, and while it does that, let me tell you how the data is shared. So you're not necessarily uploading the entire model or extracting the entire model from the internet. Basically, just like work sharing, this works based on deltas of the changes, right? So the machine goes and looks at what changes you've done in comparison to the server, and it creates several small packages or packets, and it sends those via your internet connection. In addition, when you are working with A360 projects, the idea of working on the local versus the central almost goes away. So, sorry about that, let me close that. It basically goes away. You don't need to worry about working on your local and not your central. The machine kind of manages that for you. But anyway, let's go back to this. You see that it's 1144. I've just synced to the central cloud model, and I've added those fixtures. So at this point, somebody else could go ahead and sync on their end of the world or in their office through collaboration for Revit and be able to see my changes. Now, if we go back to my portal here, you notice that this file is still yesterday's date and it's not updated. And this is kind of the nice thing of collaboration for Revit. While it does work on A360T and there is a model there in the cloud, that model is hidden from everybody else that is not authoring a Revit model. So anybody else that's not really, I'm going to say, a Revit user. So if I wanted to share this data with everybody else in my team, not just the Revit authoring team, what I need to do is I need to publish this information. And what I'll do is, under Collaborate, I have the ability to manage my A360 models. So I'm going to click on this, let it load. This is going to pull up all the projects in my hub. And this is nice because I don't need to be, if I wanted to publish this vault plumbing file, I don't need to be inside this project to publish it. I can just do it right here from my interface. So I'm going to open up the project that we're working on, and you'll see here's my file. It was last updated yesterday. And before I publish it, which I can do by clicking this button, I'm going to close this window and I'm going to go into views for A360. So this is where I am able to control what information goes onto the cloud. So I'm going to select none, so make sure everything is not selected or nothing is selected, and I'm going to go into my 3D view, and in this particular case I want the 3D view of the nurse station. Perhaps I want the overall 3D. Okay, I also want to see a demolition 3D just in case. I'm going to go into my sheets. Okay, and I'll think I will go ahead and select the demo plan, the door finish schedule. Let's do some wall types, and let's start looking for my reflective ceiling plan, which I think I saw here somewhere. These are actually sheets, so which is fine. Here we go, ceiling plan. And my floor plans then are here somewhere. Okay, so this is fine. This is good for now. I'm going to again go ahead and save this so that these essentially become the views that I'm going to be publishing to the web. So I'm going to say save and close. Now I can say manage models. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to save this real quick just in case, just to make sure that the saves that I did here to the views are persistent. Just a safety measure. So the time that takes to save, this is a question that I get asked quite a bit. It just depends on your project again, and just like in any office, it depends on your infrastructure, and in this case also the internet connection. So the wider bandwidth that you have, again, just like whether it's your office or the internet, is going to dictate how fast you are able to upload those deltas or not. So, okay, so let's go ahead and publish this for D. Okay, and again, I'm going to publish. Again, the other thing that I can do is I can relinquish. I can relinquish everyone before I publish things. And now I can go back to doing whatever else I need to do. I can maybe even close this this project while this is publishing, or I can keep on working and saving and relinquishing and doing what I need to do. What you'll notice is when we go back to the hub here, and I'm going to go into the project web page, because this is working on A360, everybody's getting a feed that I just modified the model and it's uploaded. And I did mention that there was a time period for models to be, or for the publishing process to take place, and that's what we're seeing here. If I were to click on this model right away, you'll see that the computer or A360 is asking me for some time, which is usually a few minutes, for the project to be available for viewing. So this is something interesting to know, and we just kind of have to sit here and give it a few minutes. It usually takes for this model about 4 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to stop the recording and I'll come back when it's done. Make sure that we're back on here. So it's been over about 3-4 minutes, and I refreshed the web page and here it is. Here's the perspective. So I can click right on this or go back to data. So let's go back to the data because I want to show you something. So again, we're showing today's date and the time. So it's about 5 minutes ago that we published this. And I'm going to click on this to open it. Okay, so we're going to open up that viewer that I showed you earlier. Okay, so model's populating, it's coming up. And while it does that, I want you to see something. So we're on version 9, and there's comments here that have a versioning. So this is quite nice because now you can compare visually, these elements against what has been published. Okay, so this is kind of on the reviewing side of things. So again, this is the model. Let me go into the sheets, and you'll see that I have my demo plan, the proposed model. It's coming up. Okay, so this is just a view that I've clipped. So this is the infamous nursing station that we've been working with. And what I want you to notice is that every time you have a three-dimensional view that gets that is clipped within Revit, that clipping is brought into A360, and that's great. That's great. So again, I'm just changing the display types. Okay. There we go. And let's take a look at our sheets. So here are the sheets that we published. So there's a demo plan and our floor plan and our ceiling plan coming up. Okay, so there's our floor plan and here's our ceiling plan. Just reload this. Okay, let me go back in real quick. Okay. And there's our ceiling plan, there's our cloud. That's the change we made. So again, you're able to see and share this data with somebody else. So again, here's our share button, and I can always go back and share that information with my project. So what I'd like to do now is let me go back to the PowerPoint, and I think let me just do a quick quick closing on this. So what we have is we have collaboration for Revit, which is meant for Revit users as a tool to allow the authoring of models between offices that are not, well, or I should say offices in different parts of the world. And all this works based on A360 Team, or the A360 Cloud Services offering, which is the back engine that allows for collaboration for Revit to basically host the models. In addition, A360 Team is not for Revit users, or doesn't have to be. It's for those who want to just share data. So take a look at the model, make comments, interact with it, or any other file format that we can that can be uploaded onto the web. So it is very important again to understand those two differences between the offerings. And if you guys have any questions moving forward, please feel free to contact us, Digital Drafting Systems. Here's our phone number and our general sales email. So stay tuned for more videos coming up, different things. And again, thank you for your time.